it seems to me, and it seems to Damo as well, that they much rather have those superstars be around for the regular season. There's more games. They're trying to get off the concept of, hey, buy these premium seats, because that's the thing that, pushes the revenue. That they want people to buy the merch. That's what pushes the revenue. So do you agree? This could be Bezos and Bezos and Sage. Do you agree that superstars get paid versus in the regular season in their performance, and role players get paid in the off season based off their performance?
It's a really, really, really weird argument you could make to say yes. I'm gonna still say that the NBA is such a results oriented thing, because I've seen superstars get traded because of postseason performances. I don't know if I've seen directly one-to-one contract negotiations to it, because then I think it's kind of like a trap card thing, of the sense of like, well, if they didn't perform in the playoffs, were they really a superstar? Therefore, no. Therefore, they didn't get paid. So I'm still going to say I disagree with the concept, but in terms of being factually correct, you have a really weird argument of like, it's really hard to disagree with it. You have a really weird and yet solid argument.
It's probably 80, at least for superstars, 80-20 regular season, postseason. Because I feel like the regular season is just a way bigger sample size of like who you are as a player. But like some players go into the playoffs, they run into the wrong team, they don't have help, and they maybe just have a bad series. But like a whole 82 games of you averaging 28 points a game, like that's what I'm expecting out of you from the future. But you having a bad series against the Rockets where you put up 23 points a game and your field goal percentage went up by 6. Like hell, even if that goes into the Eastern Conference Finals, like we're looking at a maximum of a 21 game sample size. If all 3 series go to 7 games, most of the time it doesn't go there. Compared to, again, in the regular season, we're talking about 82 games.
Damo, what was your supporting evidence for what you were saying? I know you were talking about contract incentives coming out of the regular season for players.
Wait, what you mean?
In the claim that superstars get paid for their regular season performance.
Oh no, I mean that's why they changed the minimum game requirement to 65. That's why all these are like, you could just look at any superstar's contract. You can't name a guy, and when these contracts are broken down, Shams and Woj does their best job of breaking down what an incentive is, and we know what these incentives are. These players talk about these incentives. We haven't heard any players talk about playoff incentives or having anything dealing with the playoffs to do with their contract negotiations. On top of that, these teams are businesses, and what is going to make you the most money? The regular season, having a star player put butts in seats for 41 games. Sample size, the history of the league. Again, role player, you look across the league recently, KCP, Bruce Brown, role players who got paid bumps because of their roles on championship teams in their roles in the playoffs of being effective basketball players. Even before that, Alex Caruso gets a pay bump because of what he did for the Lakers, and so on and so forth with all the PJ Tucker, and I don't even know what he was making before then, but he landed him a solid contract with the Bucks to where now he has a player option of 11 mil, and all he does is collect shoes now, and he's still getting paid because of his role when he won a championship with the Bucks. Like, role players get pay bumps in the playoffs, not star players. It is like, you can't find a player that's a star that gets paid like a star, that gets the accolades of a star, that gets paid based off of what they're doing in the playoffs. Tom brought up Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler re-upped in 23, he was coming off of making 3rd team All-NBA, 2nd team All-Defense, 2 All-Stars. The accolades racked up for him, and he was seen as the number 1 player on the Heat. So he got paid like that. It wasn't because he went to the finals in 20. That's not why that happened. In the bubble, he got paid for the bubble finals. Are we serious?
Yeah, and that's why I said what you're saying is technically correct, and it's a. The only reason I call it a weird argument is because you could simply argue, well, star players, of course, don't get a bump; they're already getting the max. So you could argue something like that. However, you're definitely correct when you talk about things like being incentives. We talked about how star players, get hoed by the regular season. Klay Thompson is the most infamous one of recent memory for not getting paid because he didn't perform in the regular season, but in the postseason, it's Game 6 Klay. So if anything, that would add more to that point. So like I've been saying, I think you're correct. It's just I think it's a fat ass domino that makes it more absolute rather than something that could potentially be incorrect. I think it's just impossible for you to be incorrect. If you're a star player, they're already going to pay you.
Real quick, Omar, but before you go, I do just want to ask everyone, though, is there a form of business where you can raise your price after your asking price has been met? I just don't think you can do that. Like I'm thinking about it like in our realm, bro.
Conversation.
Let's say Prize Picks hit us up, bro. $10,000 for 3 months. Let's just say initially it's like $3,000 and we think it's too low. We say, I bet $10,000 is our price. They go up to 10,000. Imagine if we replied 12,000 and you got us.
Yeah,
like, nah, brother, you said fucking 10,000.
So it would have to be an occupation. I'll let Omar go.
Technically you can.
Yeah.
But there's this is where Paul George is like, I think wrong in what he did, or is a potential wrong in what he did. So like when I was out there getting a job, like an IRL job, if I came with a counter offer, like, okay, I got the job offer from you guys. This is y'all have sent me over the employment package, et cetera. And then I had other interviews lined up. Even if you met what I wanted in that one, if I was able to produce a counter offer for the same software engineering job, you have the ability to match that offer. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm not understanding, or I've got a better understanding of my market value. The problem with Paul George is 4 years, 212 was always out there for you. So it wasn't necessarily about the money when we're talking about getting those things met and matched or whatever the case may be. Again, if security was a big issue for him, he would have asked for a no-trade clause from the Sixers, because an organization is an organization. That's what any NBA player will tell you. You could do it after the fact if you don't know your market value, but he knew his market value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just wanted to say real quick, because I seen someone in the comments say, didn't Kawhi Leonard get paid based on playoff performance? Kawhi Leonard re-up last year, correct? The 3 for 50, 150 last year, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so that was last season. The 3 years prior, he missed one season. In the other 2 seasons, he was second team all defense, second team all NBA, all-star, and followed that up by being first team all NBA, second team all defense, and an all-star. And then he missed a year. And then guess what? He re-ups for 3 years, 150. Has nothing to do with what he did in the playoffs, because in those years, which was
he didn't play too much in the playoffs.
I say he didn't play too much in the playoffs. We're talking about 20, 21, and 23. 20 he played 20, 21. Okay, he played like shit in 20 and 21. And then 23 he played 2 games. And he balled out in the playoffs, but he always balls out. That's him. But he was paid based off of regular season accolades. That's all. That is what these players are always paid based off of. Anybody that gets a big payout, a max deal, anything like that, look at what accolades they have accumulated. Again, superstar players, the super maxes, not the rookie maxes, not the guys coming off their rookie deals inside the maxes. And even in that case, I think there are a couple guys with all-stars or all NBA rookie teams, or they were top 10 in this, that, and the third. So you can break down the statistics and what that is for guys in their age range, and that could lead to it in the regular season. But for the most part, when guys get these super max deals, it is based off of regular season performance. Hell, if I go look at what Paul George has done since signing his last contract, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find a bunch of regular season accolades to show why he got 4 for 212.
I just think, and before we move on, I want to say this, especially, being a season ticket holder of like the WNBA now and looking at things just through a different lens. I just don't think that people realize how much they push the fuck out of All-Star, all NBA, all WNBA team. As soon as we got our All-Star announced, we have 1 All-Star on the Dream this year. Man, the shirts came out, the flyers came out, the glasses. Tomorrow we play the Las Vegas Aces. They made special glasses because she wears glasses on the team, and they're going to say All-Star. every single moment in the intro, all this stuff goes out. Now when they market the tickets, hey, you want to buy an individual ticket to see AllStar Alicia Gray? They can't do that if you want to buy an individual ticket for 20 points per game in the playoff, Alicia. Like, it just doesn't work like that unless you go in and win the whole thing. So, hey, another time. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to answer Bezos' question. Essentially, yeah, you can do that. It's just a matter of if the market is changing drastically, mind you, or if the product itself has deteriorated in any way, shape, or form. So, like, it's probably most prominent in like selling a house or some shit like that. But in terms of Paul George, I mean, dog, it doesn't really change where I stand.
But some news would have to break. Like, if all of a sudden, if you wanted to sell your house on Monday, you had to close on Friday, but during the middle of the week, some news came out, then you could justify it. Paul George's price was the same, like his market value was the same on Monday as it was on Friday.
Or like if hypothetically someone else could bid on Paul George during the re-signing period. So like the Lakers could be like, yeah, we'll offer you 3 years, 151. Then I guess Paul George could go to the Clippers and be like, hey man.
But they already again, they already had that. The money, there was 4 for $212 out there for somebody.
Yep.
He could have been got that.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about dysfunction, we talked about Blake Griffin for a little bit, and this is just the totality of the Clippers iteration from Steve Ballmer. I don't think we ever even gave a grade. People like to talk about how he was traded after he had that one magical re-signing. It was a year later, but at the re-signing, they rolled out this red carpet and retired a fake jersey for him in the stadium and said, we want you to be a Clipper for life. We want you to retire here. You know, a year went by. It didn't go so well. He came back. He had his little revenge game.
Balmer looking to shake hands and exchange pleasantries with Blake Griffin. Blake wanted no parts of it. He's thinking about the game. So here we go.
Blake for three. And it's through. Against Gallinari. Blake a little up and under. Hook, and he hits it. Blake takes it the other way for a score. Blake triples. Now we'll see the two hardest playing guys around. Blake off the glass over Harold. He's a tiger.
Yeah.
So is Blake Griffin, just impossible to stop. Gallinari's back in on him. Blake sends it and scores it from behind the long line. Gallinari misses. Harold inside, and Blake blocked the dunk try.
He is absolutely putting on a show out here, folks.
Blake with the clock at 3, going to have to catch it. He does. It is down.
It's breaking up crazy. Blake had 44 points. That's right after doing that. Also, there's some conversations about how Steve Ballmer, caved into his peers in order to get that Paul George trade done. Just real quick, looking back on it now, because the era is over with. We've touched on it before, but just to reiterate, how would you guys grade the Steve Ballmer experience so far in LA, all things considered?
Oh, Balmer, not just
When did Steve Ballmer?
yeah, give me a year.
18. So you got to remember, this is post Donald Sterling. We got to give him some credit. He has given them a new face. Maybe it's a manufactured push in the NBA circles, and he's got them into a new stadium. So there is that. But from a player's perspective, from an on-court perspective, it doesn't seem to have gone too well.
Textbook B tier. I mean, if that isn't B, if not C tier, I don't know what is. It cannot be A, but he's made the Clippers relevant, which is a plus. You could argue, well, they already were via Lob City, supposedly so, but then I would just be very like 2018, 19. You would think most teams are down bad, and then they weren't. But anybody saying A tier, I'm sorry, dog. I understand, and I do even think it's possible that they could have had an A-tier run despite not winning a championship. But, man, the way that shit just consistently played out for them, it was just like it's at some point things got desperate for the Clippers to, like, capture what they thought was going to happen in 2020, let alone for that foreseeable future. I have to go with like I'll probably be even lenient and say B tier, but you could damn well argue C. I just don't think there's no way you say A.
I would say at the most B plus. If someone wanted to, I can't even see A minus. I say at the most B plus. He's done a great job of, as they said, keeping them relevant. Not even making them relevant, because again, Lob City made them relevant. He kept them relevant by adding a bunch of LA guys. He kept them relevant by getting them a star player and keeping life and energy into the city. Hell, even when it was just the role player Clipper team that was overachieving, he was over on the sideline, fist pumping, sweaty as hell, getting everybody hype. I remember those clips. I hated it. I was like, what the hell? Like this nigga's Mark Cuban without any of the bad shit. Like, he was one of the owners that was really likable, and they really needed it. Now Omar did bring something up. After Donald Sterling situation, the league definitely could have pushed the button on him and made him look likable. But I mean, he breathed life into the side of the city. Everyone took as a joke. So I give him credit for that. Definitely made him a lot of money. Got them the hell out of our building. So I can't do nothing but respect him for that, because I was so sick of seeing our banners be covered up by pictures of niggas. That was crazy.
I don't know. He spent a lot of money though. I don't know about. He spent a lot.
Oh, definitely. I mean, hey, you got to spend money to make money, man. Scare money don't make no money.
I'll say that. He
care about them boys, because he is spending money out the wazoo. And he's bought. I don't want to say he's brought people in, but he's definitely had his hand in the cookie jar of the operations going on with getting these star players. He's bringing in stars. He's bringing in guys. He's bringing in LA guys. He's trying to be competitive, and I can't be mad at anybody that you can actually see trying. Now, is it his fault everybody turns the glass when they get on the Clippers? No. It's not his fault they're cursed for sharing the same stadium as the Lakers. That's just the sad fate of being a Clipper fan, being a Clipper in that building. Now that you have your own stadium, maybe things will be different.
Yeah, I think if we're being results-based in this answer, you can even make a case of C, based off of like what the Clippers were supposed to be. But if we're talking about the process of the moves that they made during this era, I understand, like, when Paul George signed with the 76ers, everyone wanted to look back and clown the SGA, Paul George trade and all of that. But for what specifically they were trying to do at that time, you can't tell me after pushing the Golden State Warriors to 6 games the year prior, and everyone looking at them saying, yo, they're like 2 stars away. They trade for, at that time, arguably the best player in the world, because that was the conversations Kawhi was in. And then top 3 MVP DPOY Paul George, they were able to pull that off. That was a mistake. I think unfortunate events have happened since then. I think, the Clippers have just underperformed. Doc Rivers, if you want to put that on Steve Ballmer for hiring Doc Rivers as the coach, or whoever the front office manager is, be my guess. But I think at the end of the day, the era ultimately just fell because, again, Kawhi Leonard, not his fault, just got injured at the worst times. I think ultimately that's what it gets simplified to for me.